Topping today's news, Prime Minister Philip Davis speaks on the collapse of cryptocurrency giant FTX. Deputy Prime Minister Cooper defends the government's actions regarding the Grand Bahama Airport, mask mandates for in-school learning relaxed, and residents express their displeasure as photos of a man attempting to rob a tourist goes viral. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jareno Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News. It's a pleasure to have you join us. Key priority for the Davis administration is the full and absolute protection of the rights and remedies of the Bahamas and its citizens to minimize the losses and to mitigate the overall impact caused by any misconduct by FTX digital markets. This according to the Prime Minister Philip Davis. We hear more of what the Prime Minister had to say on FTX in this next report. Prime Minister Philip Davis addressed the collapse of cryptocurrency giant FTX digital markets nearly a week after the cryptocurrency company suffered a staggering collapse. FTX, which is regulated in the Bahamas, has had its assets frozen by the Securities Commission of the Bahamas, and subsequently 3 provisional liquidators were appointed by the Supreme Court. The crypto exchange agency, which has filed for bankruptcy, is being investigated here in the Bahamas by the Commission, the Financial Crime Investigations Branch of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, as well as in the United States.
Note that the Bahamas did not have sole oversight of the FTX's worldwide operation. And I repeat that. The Bahamas did not have sole oversight of FTX's worldwide operation. I've given directions that the proceedings and investigations in our country are to be of the highest order and given precedence, given the amounts involved, and because committed and rigorous oversight is of national importance. We will be coordinating these efforts with duly appointed authorities in other jurisdictions.
Delivering a communication in the House of Assembly on Wednesday morning, Prime Minister Davis noted that numerous crypto tokens and companies around the world have collapsed in the past few months, setting off a series of reverberations, noting that there have been both booms and busts in the world of crypto, and this year has been a significant bust, according to Prime Minister Davis. Add to that, the steep sell-off and declining volumes of the crypto world have led analysts to describe this time as a crypto winter. However, he says he believes the Bahamas will emerge from FTX's fall.
I believe, as do many others, that blockchain technology and smart contracts will continue to play an important and growing role in the world's financial architecture. And further, I have every confidence that the Bahamas will emerge from the proceedings involving FTX. Proceedings taking place here as well in other jurisdictions with an enhanced, the Bahamas will emerge with an enhanced reputation as a solid digital asset jurisdiction.
Prime Minister Davis, who also holds the portfolio for the Ministry of Finance, calls on those who speak on the FTX crisis to tread carefully.
Based on the analysis and understanding of the FTX liquidity crisis to date, we have not identified any deficiencies in our regulatory framework that could have avoided this. In fact, it was because the Bahamas already had in place a regulatory framework for digital assets and digital asset businesses that the regulator was able to take the immediate steps that they have done in order to protect the interests of clients, creditors, and other stakeholders globally. What I would ask, Madam Speaker, is for all those who care about our country's reputation to tread carefully when they speak about matters that are very complex and still unfolding. There's a reason that the Bahamas won international praise for the approach we have taken to date on digital assets. And there is plenty of room to have a healthy debate about the industry.
With the Bahamas already on track to update the regulatory framework before year's end, Prime Minister Philip Davis contends that there is no doubt that various jurisdictions involved will unravel the actions that led to the FTX downfall, further contending that the Bahamas will be among the first jurisdictions to gain and put to use valuable insight, allowing legislators to further strengthen the country's framework. Following that statement released by the Bahamas Securities Commission stating that actions were taken to freeze assets of FTX digital markets and related parties, Commissioner of Police Clayton Fernanda revealed that investigating officers have not yet met with former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried.
Well, there's not much I can say. There was a statement that I sent out on Sunday that the Security Commission is in full control of the investigation at this point. We are still working alongside them, and we are just waiting on information from them that we can move forward. So that's the most I can tell you at this present.
According to the police commissioner, there has been no formal complaints against FTX made by the Bahamas Securities Commission. When asked if he or his office has had any communication with officials abroad, he says to date there has been no communication with foreign authorities. With the story generating international attention, Commissioner Fernanda has this to say.
No, we have not met with him. We don't investigate in social media. We deal with facts. And as I indicated, we have not spoken to him. We are waiting for information from the Security Commission. As you fully aware, they're in charge of the investigation at this point. And as it comes available, we will update you. But at this point in time, we are not investigating this matter at this time, but we are in communication with the Commission.
Meantime, while making a communication in regards to FTX in the House of Assembly today, Prime Minister Philip Davis said local officials have not identified any deficiencies in the government's regulatory framework that could have prevented the present outcome in relation to FTX. Even as he says there is nothing new to report regarding the fallout of the sale of the Grand Lucayan Resort on Grand Bahama to Electra America Hospitality Group, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation, Chester Cooper, is responding to criticisms hurled at the Davis administration concerning the resort and the Grand Bahama International Airport. Many are speculating that the deal with Electra fell through because of the state of the Grand Bahama Airport, which critics say the government has failed to adequately address. Here is the Deputy Prime Minister's response to that.
I've listened intently to a lot of people speculating. I've listened intently to many members of the former board speaking to matters on which they have no information. Let me just say that we have laid out the circumstances as it relates to Grand Lucayan. Suffice to say, we are in the final stages of selecting the provider for the rebuilding of the Grand Bahama Airport. So I am not going to get into a back and forth with persons who had a mandate to sell the property and didn't do so. They must give account for their stewardship. We will give account for ours.
Mr. Cooper says the Davis administration will do what is in the best interests of the Bahamian people and in the best interest of Grand Bahamians.
As to say, as we've laid out before, we are pressing forward. And I am confident that we will be able to do a transaction or a pivot as it relates to the Grand Lucayan Resort. That's going to be in the best interest of the people.
The Grand Bahama Airport suffered extensive damage caused in Hurricane Dorian in September of 2019. There were plans for the redevelopment of the airport in the former Minnis administration when they purchased the airport from Port Holdings and Port Group Limited for $1, with plans to redevelop the airport using a public-private partnership. Since the end of July, Haiti has been experiencing social protests that have gradually gained momentum. often paralyzing activity in major cities until reaching an alarming peak across the country on September 12th with hundreds killed. Violent gangs have engaged in blocking humanitarian aid and the country's main fuel terminal, and hospitals have closed their doors or reduced capacity even in the midst of a cholera outbreak. Today, in an update on developments, Fred Mitchell, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Public Service, said countries in the region are in the process of deciding what approach to take in relation to establishing stability in Haiti.
CARICOM, the United States, and Canada are searching to forge a consensus on what to do in Haiti. It appears that the government, with the Haitian National Police Force, was able to regain control of the fuel supplies there, and so there might be some return to fuel distribution and the easing of tensions in the country. But the Haitian political situation is a long way from being resolved. At the moment, there is planned a visit to Haiti for consultation by CARICOM foreign ministers to see if there can be a meeting with the parties and some path forged in political dialogue and a political solution evolve.
In October, the U.S. and Mexico proposed deployment of a multinational force into Haiti to help break the stranglehold of gangs. CARICOM countries, including the Bahamas, have expressed their willingness to support such a decision if the United Nations goes forward with those recommendations. On the health front, today the Ministry of Health and Wellness released a statement advising the public that effective Monday, November 14th, the mask mandate for all people in an indoor classroom setting in educational institutions has been relaxed. However, the requirements to wear a face mask remain in effect for those in the following settings that include all individuals, inclusive of patients, visitors, vendors, workers, and others accessing a public or private health care facility, inclusive of clinics, hospitals, laboratories, doctors' offices, and dentist offices, or for any reason, that is. Also, any visitor or non-residential worker of a long-term care residential facility must still wear a face mask. Meanwhile, the public is reminded that some people will continue to prefer to wear a mask for protection from COVID-19 regardless of the settings. Their choice to do so should be respected by all. The statement says an advisory committee on the Ministry of Health and Wellness will continue to monitor the in-country and global COVID-19 pandemic situation and provide science-based public health recommendations necessary for the health and safety of citizens and visitors of the Bahamas. And finally, in this segment, on Wednesday, social media, in particularly WhatsApp and Facebook, were buzzing after photos of a man attempting to snatch a tourist purse downtown Bay Street in the area of McDonald's and the U.S. Embassy went viral. You are looking at some of those photos from yesterday's incident, including a photo that appears to show that the culprit was detained. The two female victims appeared to be passengers on one of the cruise ships in port on Tuesday. One of the victims was pushed to the ground as the culprit attempted to take her belongings. When asked by reporters about this matter on Tuesday evening, Police Press Liaison Officer Chief Superintendent Chrislyn Skipping said that police are actively investigating the incident. Many residents were embarrassed and disappointed in the young man, as it is this type of incident that caused countries like the United States to issue travel warnings for their citizens coming to the Bahamas. This at a time when Bahamians are recovering from the effects of the COVID-19 lockdowns and fighting rising inflation. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.